Hello and welcome to today's episode on the role of strategy in human resource management. My name is Rayyan Zahoor and the subject expert is Dr. Arshia Hussain, PhD in Human Resource Management and teaching in the Department of Commerce and Business Studies, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Introduction. Human resources are a valuable asset to an organization and have also been referred to as human capital. They can give an organization a competitive edge over its competitors, ensuring its stability and growth over a long-term horizon. Therefore, strategic management of human resource becomes essential for an organization in order to achieve its goals and objectives. The human resource strategy should be a reflection of an organization's corporate strategy and should be its pillar of support and strength. Meaning and nature of strategy. Strategy is a word that is commonly used in business, reflecting the overall approach that an organization takes to achieve its goals and objectives. It points to an organization's broad level plans for managing its external business environment. An organization generally formulates its strategy keeping its competitors in mind, as the business environment today is very competitive. An example of this is when a company uses a lower price point to improve sales. A larger sales force or a higher spend on advertising are also examples of how an organization looks at its competitors to design its strategy. A strategy is a plan that is comprehensive and consolidated, covering all aspects of running an organization with the purpose of achieving its goals and objectives. A strategy is integrated in such a way that all the components of the plan are aligned with each other and are compatible. The basic characteristics of a strategy are: strategy generally includes multiple areas of operations in the organization and is therefore formulated by the senior leadership. Strategic decisions should have a large impact on the organization's growth and stability and should be viewed as a long-term commitment. The external environment of an organization is dynamic. However, if it is monitored, most of the changes can be predicted before they take place. Strategic decisions are made factoring in those changes and accommodating them in the plans. The external forces include customers, suppliers, competitors, government creditors, and others. Strategic decisions are made on the basis of what is expected to happen. In other words, on the forecasts made by the management. Building a successful strategy needs the organization's commitment to proposed activities over a certain period of time. This could include considerable resources, including human resources, physical resources, financial and technological resources. Strategies at a different level. The nature and scope of strategic decisions can be categorized into three parts: corporate strategy, business level strategy, and functional level strategy. We will discuss these in detail. Corporate strategy. Strategic decisions at the corporate level are related to policies that affect the entire organization in companies that have multiple divisions and have operations in a wide range of areas. Corporate strategy would include major policy decisions that could involve structural reorganization, diversification, acquisition and similar corporate level decisions. Strategies at the business level and the functional level are generally planned to execute the corporate strategy. Corporate strategy is designed around the broad goals that the organization strives to achieve, for example, expanding the market share or increasing profits, the domain of the organization in terms of the products or services they will deliver, the changes in what the organization will deliver, the target customers, the strategic shifts the organization is going to make, for example, diversifying their product portfolio or expanding to an overseas market. Business level strategy. This is the strategy that is used to reach certain particular objectives of the SBU or strategic business unit in order to achieve the corporate level objectives. An SBU is a division of an organization and generally manages the specific product segment or a market segment. An SBU could also serve as a particular set of customers or it could be serving a geographical segment. An SBU has the authority to make its own strategy, however, it has to be within the guidelines provided by the organization. A business level strategy is involved with issues and policies that are meant for coordination of functional units within that strategic business unit. The scope of business level strategy is not as vast as corporate strategy and is limited to the SBU. A corporate strategy outlines the areas of business that an organization is going to compete in, while business level strategy outlines the methods that the organization will use in their specific business and the position it will adopt as compared to its competitors. Functional level strategy. This strategy is guided by business level strategy. Let us take an example of an organization that wants to introduce a new product as part of its business level strategy. Now, the different functions of research and development, production, finance, marketing, etc. will all have to align their objectives towards the success of introducing that new product. Each function will need to design strategies accordingly. Meaning of strategic management. Strategic management is a combination of decisions and actions that result in designing and implementing a strategy for the achievement of the goals and objectives of an organization. A series of such decisions and actions put together become a strategy, and implementing them effectively will determine the success of that strategy. This entire process is known as strategic management. According to Igor Ansoff, strategic management is a method of positioning an organization to its environment in such a way that it will be insulated from any surprises that might present themselves due to changes in the environment. He stresses on the impact of environment on the organization and its business. An essential purpose of strategic management is to align the organization to its environment in order to sustain itself to grow. The essential features of strategic management are: its focus is on the goals and objectives of the organization, it decides upon the broad policies and programs that should be followed, it lays down the guidelines for operational planning and decisions that need to be made every day, it leads to consistency in an organization's policies and its activities in the long term. The uncertainties in business environment are managed by identifying opportunities and threats that arise due to changes in the environment. Its attempts to align the organization better with its environment. It formulates the corporate strategy and ensures its implementation. Formulation of strategy. Establish the mission or objectives. The first step of strategic planning is to outline the business mission or the provisional purpose that could be followed in the future. The mission of an organization is its reason for existence. It is a vision of the future activities of the organization over a long duration of time and is also the reason for its existence. Therefore, it is important that the mission statement of an organization is clear and precise. That will help in identifying the functions that the organization will perform and also define the character and philosophy of the organization. The senior leadership identifies the major goals and objectives for the organization that will help in achieving its business mission. Resources of the organization are committed towards these goals and objectives. Russell Ackoff makes a distinction between goals and objectives. He defines goals as objectives that are scheduled for attainment during a planned period, and defines objectives as the desired states or outcome, implying that objectives do not have a time frame. An example of this is the survival objective of an organization, which is never fully achieved, considering that failure will always remain a future possibility. Objectives are expressed in broad, while goals are specific and precise and are achievable and measurable. An example of this is when an organization states that it will increase its market share by 3% in the next 2 years. Environmental scanning. Analyzing the environment is the second phase of strategic planning. The external environment of an organization includes economic, technological, social and other forces that impacts its operations. It is dynamic and has an element of uncertainty. It is essential for an organization to observe and scan the environment so that it can identify opportunities and threats that might present themselves in the future. By analyzing the external environment, the management can develop an ETOP or an environmental threat and opportunity profile. This will help them in evaluating the impact of different environmental forces on the organization. All organizations function within the external environment. It is absolutely essential for the management to understand the updated environmental conditions and the likely trends, especially those that could directly or indirectly influence the operations of the organization. A review of the external environment allows an organization to recognize current and future opportunities that they could take advantage of, as well as threats that they could have to manage. It also allows the management to make forecasts for sales and profits. It is important for the management to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of the organization. In order to do that, they need to understand the domain of the organization, which includes the complete line of products and services that the organization carries, the geographic areas in which the organization operates, including the local area, the national area and the international area, the special features of the products that the organization sells, features that differentiate the products from those of its competitors. Organizational analysis is an assessment of an organization's financial situation, its production capacity, the effectiveness of its marketing, the strength of its research and development, and so on. The managerial, operational and financial capabilities of the organization should also be analyzed. Review the competitive edge the organization has over its competitors, the funds that it has to pursue its strategic plans, and the capability of the management to implement the strategic plans. This analysis provides guidelines for creating an effective strategic plan that can be implemented using the organization's existing resources. Developing strategic alternatives. Once the leadership has identified the opportunities and threats provided by the external environment and the strengths and weaknesses of the organization, it is time to identify and evaluate the strategic alternatives. The strategic management process requires the management to review the choices they might have and pick the most appropriate one out of them. Evaluation of strategic alternatives. Every strategic alternative has to be reviewed thoroughly and the pros and cons evaluated subjectively. The management needs to look at these alternatives while keeping in mind the opportunities and threats along with the strengths and weaknesses of the organization. It can use tools like the PERT analysis, program evaluation and review technique, the CPM, critical path method, ratio analysis, etc. Choice of strategy. The final stage of strategic planning is selecting the most pertinent strategy. They should choose the strategic alternative that uses the organization's capabilities and takes advantage of its strong points to achieve the goals and objectives of the organization. Some factors that influence the decision besides the external environment are the expectations of the business owners, the level of risk the management is ready to take, the attitude of the senior leadership, etc. Execution of the strategic plan. Once the decision has been taken on the strategy that will be followed, it needs to be factored in the operations and practices of the organization. Operational plans and programs should be designed around that strategy and appropriate budgets should be allocated. The effectiveness of the strategy should be evaluated to ensure that the intended results are achieved. Strategic role of human resources. A manager's objective is to attain an advantage for his organization against its competitors. This could be done in several ways, and a team of competent and motivated human resources can go a long way in helping an organization achieve this objective. Human resources are a source of competitive advantage, and this is being recognized increasingly now. This contradicts the earlier accepted thought that other resources like equipment and technology were enough to give an organization a competitive edge. A skilled, efficient and motivated workforce can help an organization get ahead of important parameters like quality of products and services, market responsiveness, product differentiation, technological innovations and so on. The function of human resource management has a significant impact on the formulation and implementation of strategy in an organization. This is done through the employment of human resources, their training, evaluation and reward. It is now recognized that human resources enable an organization to effectively manage challenges that arise from its external environment. Strategic management of human resources builds competence of employees and gives an organization an edge over its competitors. The process of recruitment, training, evaluation and remuneration can have a significant impact on the competence level of employees. Recruitment and selection. If an organization can identify and attract the most competent resources that are available, its workforce will become more competent. Training. If thought is put into the training process and employees receive trainings that will enable them to perform their jobs better, the organization's workforce will become more competent. Performance evaluation. The performance evaluation of employees is an effective tool to identify areas where certain employees are unable to perform well. This could be due to several factors and can be corrected through coaching, counseling and training. Remuneration. The competence level of the employees of an organization can generally be improved by offering them better salaries and other financial benefits. This practice helps organizations in attracting and retaining employees that are more capable. Strategic management of human resources. We have established that human resources have the potential to provide a competitive edge for its organization. Therefore, if an organization wants to reach its corporate goals and objectives, it must develop and practice strategic management of its human resources. An organization's human resource strategy should include the development of its employees and have a plan for providing them with growth opportunities as well as good working conditions. Doing this ensures improved contribution and makes the human resource strategy more effective. Catherine Truss and Linda Grattan defined human resource management as the linking of an organization's goals and objectives with its human resource management so that business performance can be improved and a culture that encourages innovation and flexibility can be developed in that organization. The realization that human resources are fundamental for achieving a competitive edge has led many organizations to adopt strategic management for human resources. competitive advantage based on human resources. Organizations operate in a dynamic external environment. Technological changes can become increasingly rapid. Government policies in many countries are unstable. International conditions fluctuate. In such conditions, gaining a competitive edge based on human resources is a challenge for any organization. Organizations need to use the capabilities of employees and create value for its customers. J. Barney, who has made significant contributions to the resource-based theory of competitive advantage, believes that an organization's resources help them achieve sustainable competitive advantage when they are valuable, rare, inimitable and non-substitutable. Valuable human resources. Human resources can be valuable if they provide better efficiency or improve an organization's ability for satisfying the needs of their customers. Programs that are designed to create highly skilled employee base improves the productivity of the workforce and adds value for the organization, that is more than the costs incurred for that program. Rareness of human resources. Competitive advantage of an organization based on human resources assumes that labor supplies are diverse across organizations. Organizations can build a human resource based competitive advantage if they hire and retain the most capable employees and provide them with trainings that lead them to improve their value added contributions. Skills of employees that are specific to the organization that they work in and cannot be taken to another organization can be a source of competitive edge that is sustainable. Inimitable aspect of human resources. The capabilities of employees can be a source of sustained competitive edge only when they can not be copied or replicated by another organization. It is difficult to imitate human resources in two situations. First, when the connection between the organization's resources and its competitive edge is not very clear. Second, when the internal relationship and the external relationship has many facets and is socially complex. Human resources that cannot be substituted. Organizations in the past have made additional rules and procedures in order to replace decisions making and have readily replaced human resources, especially where jobs are routine and repetitive. There has been a shift in the kind of work being done in organizations from routine work to knowledge work, and cognitive processes like diagnosing and solving problems and making decisions are being used. The focus on competitive advantage based on human resources has increased, especially in knowledge based industries. Increasingly, competitive advantage is derived from knowledge and capabilities of human resources instead of physical or financial resources. Summary. A strategy is a plan that is comprehensive and consolidated, covering all aspects of running an organization with the purpose of achieving its goals and objectives. The nature and scope of strategic decisions can be categorized into three parts. 1. Corporate strategy, 2. Business level strategy, and 3. Functional level strategy. Strategic management is a combination of decisions and actions that result in designing and implementing a strategy for the achievement of the goals and objectives of an organization. A series of such decisions and actions put together become a strategy, and implementing them effectively will determine the success of that strategy. Strategic management of human resources builds competence of employees and gives an organization an edge over its competitors. The process of recruitment, training, evaluation and remuneration can give a significant impact to the competence level of employees. Human resources of an organization help them achieve sustainable competitive advantage when they are valuable, rare, inimitable and non-substitutable. This is all we have for part 1 of HRM and strategic management. Hope the session was informative. We will meet again in the next episode with part 2. Till then, take care and goodbye.